Over the Limit was a professional wrestling pay-per-view event produced by WWE. It took place at the PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina on May 20, 2012. It was the third and final event under the Over the Limit chronology. 10 professional wrestling matches took place at the event, 9 of which were broadcast live on pay-per-view. In the main event, John Laurinaitis defeated John Cena. Also featured was CM Punk defeating Daniel Bryan to retain the WWE Championship, and Sheamus defeating Alberto Del Rio, Randy Orton, and Chris Jericho to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. The event garnered 167,000 buys, up from 140,000 the previous year's event received. Background: Over the Limit featured professional wrestling matches that involved different wrestlers from pre-existing feuds or storylines that were played out on Raw, SmackDown, NXT and Superstars or Euro World Wrestling Entertainment's television programs. Wrestlers portrayed a villain or a hero as they followed a series of events that built tension, and culminated in a wrestling match or series of matches. All wrestlers were from WWE's Raw and SmackDown brands, a Euro storyline division in which WWE employees are assigned to a television program of the same name. One of the prominent feuds from the Raw brand was between John Cena and the general manager of Raw and SmackDown, John Laurinaitis. On the night after losing to The Rock in the main event of WrestleMania XXVII in early April, Cena's promo was interrupted by a returning Brock Lesnar, who immediately attacked him with an F5. It was revealed the next week on Raw that Laurinaitis hired Lesnar to replace Cena as the face of the WWE by taking him out at Extreme Rules. A battered Cena barely managed to defeat Lesnar, and in a post-match promo, emphasized his injuries and announced he would be taking a vacation. The next night on Raw, Lesnar attacked WWE COO Triple H, breaking his arm. With Lesnar's WWE job now in jeopardy, and after advice from his executive administrator Eve Torres, Laurinaitis decided on Cena's next opponent, for Over the Limit. Later that night, while Cena was in the ring, Laurinaitis appeared on the entrance stage to announce that opponent, and introduced Lord Tensai. Laurinaitis and Tensai then attacked Cena, and Laurinaitis revealed that he would be Cena's opponent. The WWE Board of Directors stipulated the only way to win would be by pinfall or submission, anybody interfering in the match would be immediately fired and, if Laurinaitis lost the match, he would be fired. The main event feud from Raw heading into Over the Limit was between WWE Champion CM Punk and challenger Daniel Bryan. Following the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, Eve Torres announced Punk's next challenger would be decided by a series of beat-the-clock matches on the April 30 edition of Raw. In the final match of the evening, Bryan defeated Jerry Lawler in the fastest time to become the #1 contender. The main storyline from the SmackDown brand led to World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus defending his title in a fatal four-way match against Alberto Del Rio, Randy Orton, and Chris Jericho. After defeating Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds at WrestleMania XXVII to win the title, Sheamus faced a returning Alberto Del Rio in a non-title match on the April 6 edition of SmackDown. Del Rio defeated Sheamus via disqualification to earn a future title shot. Sheamus again defeated Bryan at Extreme Rules to retain his title and end their rivalry, opening the way for Del Rio's title opportunity at Over the Limit. On the May 7 episode of Raw, Sheamus and Orton faced Jericho and Del Rio in a tag team match. Jericho pinned Sheamus after a codebreaker, after Sheamus accidentally kicked Orton in the face. They argued, in John Laurinaitis' office, about who should be next in line for the title. Laurinaitis announced a fatal four-way match for the World Heavyweight Championship at Over the Limit, instead of the originally advertised singles match between Sheamus and Del Rio. Event Pre-show The pre-show saw Zack Ryder vs. Kane. Ryder got some hits in and got the Broski boot, then went for the Rough Rider, but Kane caught him with his finisher, the choker slam, for the win. Main card The first match of the night was a 20-man battle royal for a United States Championship or Intercontinental Championship match. This one came down to The Miz, Tyson Kidd, David Otunga and Christian. Otunga runs Christian into the ring post, Kid goes after Miz and hits some kicks. Everyone is trying to get Kid out, but he comes in from the apron and hits a double dropkick on Miz and Otunga. Miz tries to throw Kid out but he hangs on and tries to head scissor Miz out, but Otunga comes and makes the save to kick Kid out. Now Otunga and Miz form an alliance against Christian. Christian tries to fight them off but the numbers quickly catch up and they double team him. Miz goes for the corner clothesline but Christian moves. Otunga tries to slam Christian but he slips out and tosses Otunga. Down to 2. Miz and Christian trade reversals. Miz throws Christian over but he hangs on the apron. Miz putting all his weight on Christian but Christian kicks him off. He grabs Miz by the head and runs him to the other side and throws him to the apron and knocks him off to win. The next match was Kofi Kingston and R-Truth defending the WWE Tag Team Championship against Dolph Ziggler and Jack Swagger. Truth gets rolling on Swagger but Vicky Guerrero jumps on the apron and that, along with a Ziggler distraction, allowed Swagger to come back and hit a corner slingshot splash for 2. This allows Swagger and Ziggler to take over, keeping Truth isolated and working frequent tags to wear Truth down. Truth starts to fire up out of the corner, but Ziggler and Swagger double team him with an X-Factor for 2. Ziggler does a headlock, but Truth works to a vertical base and small packages Ziggler out of nowhere for a 2 count. Ziggler, though, jumps right back on Truth. Swagger tags in now, but Truth hits him with a tornado DDT out of the corner and finally gets the tag to Kingston. Kingston comes flying in here against Ziggler. Kingston goes on fire and hits the boom drop. He calls for trouble in paradise but Ziggler ducks. Kingston goes for the SOS, but Ziggler pushes him off, but Kingston springboards out of the corner with a crossbody. Swagger breaks up the fall but Kingston takes him out. Ziggler hits Kingston with a Famisa, but Truth breaks up the pin attempt and then takes Swagger out of the ring. Kingston gets thrown into the corner by Ziggler and Ziggler comes charging in, but Kingston explodes out and catches a jumping Ziggler with trouble in paradise for the win. Then, Layla defended her Divas Championship against Beth Phoenix. Phoenix goes to work on Layla's surgically repaired knee, working it over from pillar to post. Layla is able to knock Phoenix off the apron and to the floor, but Phoenix comes back in and presses Layla above her head, only to have Layla catch her on the way down with a DDT. Layla is slow to make the cover, though, and Phoenix kicks out a 2. Layla goes for a swinging small package for 2. Phoenix, though, drives her into the corner. Layla tries to work her way out but ends up in position for the Glam Slam. Layla rolls through and they trade cradle reversals for 2. Moments later, Layla hits a neckbreaker out of nowhere for the win. The fourth match of the night was Sheamus defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, and Alberto Del Rio in a fatal 4-way match. They hit each other with their finishes but kept kicking out. The match came to an end when Sheamus nailed Jericho with the white noise and successfully pinned him to retain his title. The fifth match of The Miz vs. Brodus Clay. Clay goes on a roll until Miz takes over. He hits the corner clothesline and then a chin lock, but Clay powers out. He hits a headbutt. Miz goes for a kick and goes to the top, but Clay crotches him and goes up and hits a top rope T-bone suplex. He follows with the splash and that does it. Then, Christian became the Intercontinental Champion after defeating Cody Rhodes, who won the Battle Royal earlier that night. Christian controlled the match all the way and pinned Rhodes after a kill switch. Then CM Punk defended the WWE Championship against Daniel Bryan. Both Punk and Bryan took over each other. In the end, when Bryan had Punk in the yes lock, Punk pinned Bryan to retain the title despite tapping out immediately thereafter. Your next one was Ryback taking on Camacho. Ryback won the match in just 54 seconds, after he delivered a shell shocked to Camacho. Main event. The main event was John Cena taking on Raw and SmackDown General Manager John Laurinaitis with Laurinaitis' job on the line. Laurinaitis won as Big Show, who he had previously been fired for mocking his voice, interfered and turned heel by knocking Cena out with the WMD, allowing Laurinaitis to pin him and keep his job. Results. Battle Royal. References